What up? What up, my guys? Welcome to another show, man. Y'all know what we're doing. It's NBA Talk with Jay Money and the Shark. It's the early show. A lot of people, obviously, if you guys didn't know, we did do a show yesterday, 6 p.m. Eastern time, 5 o'clock Central. It really popped off. It's basically an hour right before the game, so I will start doing it more often. That's where I have the most info, the most betting site as well. So I'll keep doing this early show for people that have to, watch the game, try to get ahead of the line movement. But we'll also do a late show as well, just all the latest updates, talking some props, talking everything, right? A lot of these teams are waiting to the last minute to rule some guys out. So we got to take a different approach sometimes. Shark, what's up with you, my guy? Everything cool with you?
Excellent. Beautiful morning here in Florida. We're hoping the internet works. We're working on that. Apologies in advance to those people in the chat who are the internet gurus, but we are the NBA prognosticating gurus. It is December 2nd, 2021. A beautiful card on tap here today. 5 games, doubleheader, NBA TV national game, Bulls Knicks. You're looking at a hat that has some opportunities. Jay Money, what's going on today? It's beautiful Tuesday.
Yeah, it's going down, man. I said we're trying to get some money today. It's only 5 games on the card. Looking at the card, I mean, you can look at the card and be like, "Oh, it's a good card," but then you really get to looking at it, digging deep. There's always some merit points, some stuff that you can get some cash on, man. I want to go straight into it. Y'all know how we do it. Strictly business here. 5 games today, but we will try to find some cash here. Now let's go to the streets of New York here, right? We got the Bulls versus the Knicks. This is the 3rd match of the year. The home team has won each game, if I'm not mistaken. So the Bulls won at the house. Knicks won the first one at the house. You got Tibbs going up against his old squad. Now, I told my guy Shark, I didn't have a bet on this game. I say I'm looking at the Knicks in this one. I know the Bulls are a really good team. They're on the road here. Knicks have some revenge. You look at how the last game played out. Ever since Kemba Walker ever since they took him out of rotation, the Knicks are 2-0 against the spread. Only 1-1 straight up, but they played 2 really good games. They're actually starting to find themselves a lot better defensively ever since Walker's out there. The last game, KD he double dribbled. That led to 2 points. The go-ahead basket for the Nets. I feel like that the refs kind of owed the Knicks one. Obviously, Tibbs, everybody saying, "Hey, look," Randall saying, "I got fouled." All this, y'all pretty much messed us off the game. I'm just saying, sometimes I've seen it before in the NBA where a team gets messed off or gets pretty much fucked off because of the refs. The refs kind of, I'm just gonna say, help them out a little bit the next game. So, or give them a little bit more calls. I feel like, but I think this is a Knicks type of game. I think they're the home dog, +2, +2.5. I'm looking at the Knicks here, Shark. You got the hat on. What are we doing, my guy?
Official play, and there might be more later on today, but this is the only top look right now. Knicks first quarter pick. And I'm going to be honing in on quarters and halves a lot more. I alter my capping strategies. I have basically one centered model, but I move it in and out as we go from data deficient early season, which is where we do look back at last year a lot more. So for those of you guys in the chat who always say, "Why did Shark look at last year?" Last year's over now. We know what's going on in this campaign. So now we're centered here, 21-22. We look at what's going on here. The Knicks have been very lackluster at home in the first quarter, which is asymptomatic of a team last year who was an absolute juggernaut in the first quarter. But they have made a significant altering move, obviously bringing Alec Burks, the pride of Colorado Boulder, into the starting lineup. And what you look at here is the only environment with this group off a road loss in a primetime game last week against the Lakers, 36-20 first quarter. And you look at the other side of this, Chicago is 0-5 ATS first quarter at the East. They were noteworthy at the West. They were 4-1 first quarter at the West. They came out well against almost everybody. At the East, they don't find their grind. You get a revenge game for the Knicks. You get the Knicks wanting to show up in the first quarter. The Knicks were not good. They did not cover the first quarter in Brooklyn the last game. They're off an outright loss. They need to come out here with the juice. Knicks first quarter pick 1 unit official.
I like the look, Shark. I think should be a game where the Knicks come out hot and they should look back, in my opinion. So usually when that happens, it's usually a trifecta spot. If the Knicks do get the lead, I don't see them necessarily pissing away. I'll be honest with you guys. This is I can't say, like, as far as just the numbers and looking at the matchups, it's a toss-up type of game. I could see anything happening. That's why you have the Bulls here, the favorite on the road. But I do think the Knicks will have. So obviously there's an injury concern here, right? RJ Barrett, which he was questionable last game as well, did end up playing. So in theory, he should definitely could be in this one. He's questionable with an illness. We know it's cold up there in New York right now. Zach LaVine also dealing with the illness right now. He is going to play, but may not be at 100%. We know they have the three-headed guards of Lonzo Ball, Zach LaVine, and DeRozan, but the Knicks, they have some guards as well. They can play some defense. You don't have Kemba Walker out there getting cooked, but you know what I'm saying? They're finding the pick and roll matchup with Kemba Walker trying to cook him. You do still have Fournier out there, but you got RJ Barrett. You have Alec Burks, a much better defender than Kemba Walker. You got guys like Quickly coming off the bench. They got Rose back as well. Rose didn't play the last game, but also on the flip side, Vucevic didn't play in the last game as well. And some of them starting to notice Vucevic kind of slows down the Bulls. Like they can't necessarily run as fast-paced with Vuce out there. So it's a little bit of a different dynamic than the last time these two teams played. Like I say, Rose didn't play, didn't have the energy off the bench. I think the Knicks will get this one, to be honest with you. Heavy lean for me, full game Knicks +2. I might ride with my guy there, Shark, in that first quarter. I like the look. He broke it down to me perfectly. I have to ride with him the way he talked me into it, man. So the way I see it, this is a Knicks type of game. Couldn't talk anyone out of the under as well. We'll probably even go even deeper into this game on the late night show, but I'll probably end up adding the Knicks some type of way, especially with the refs, the way that their game ended versus the Nets. These are two evenly matched up teams. You usually want to take the home team in that situation, especially the dog as well. So I think this is a Knicks type of game, if you ask me, my guys. Let's go to the next game here. Let's go to the streets of Toronto here. We got the Bucks, not Tampa Bay, but we're going to Toronto. Now, you say now last year, right, the Raptors weren't nowhere near as good. They still had Lowry. They were a lot more healthier. They beat the Bucks two times last year. You really look at it deeper. There was before the Bucks had Drew Holiday, and like I say, the Raptors still had Kyle Lowry. They had OG Anunoby. He was the main guy to guard Giannis. This is a little bit different Raptors team here, Shark. Bucks didn't show up last night. What do you think happens today?
Well, again, as I said, when we get into data abundance scenarios, which is the back half of the season, the last 5, 6, 7, 8 months here, not back half, the last 7/8 of the season, I start to do what I call schedule scaling, which is where I really go game to game and I ask myself the reasoning behind outcomes. And that is going to be a major point on our Grizzlies Thunder cap here.
We're gonna get my my guy buffering real quick, man. We're gonna get this. We're gonna get it fixed though. I know what he's saying. He's looking at the lines in this one. Shark, you want to finish up on it?
Apologies. It's actually not the lines. It's the situational environment of the reasoning as to why they come out well in a first quarter, first half, or second half. It's really the energy flow of the games as a result of the prior game or the next game. And we always talk about this. These are pro athletes. They're human beings. They do have the same type of mind we do. If you have a big day tomorrow, you might reserve some energy for tomorrow. Look at what happened last night. The starters came out absolutely uselessly. And then the second unit pushed in the second quarter. They got there in the third. And, of course, Giannis walked it off with a bucket at the buzzer. But I think the lean here, not officially yet, we're going to come back on here at 6 o'clock, would be Bucks to flip the script on that. Mm-hmm. Now knowing we came out horribly yesterday, we need to set the tone on the road in a double revenge game in a back-to-back scenario, assuming we might lose our edge down the stretch. And that's just the psychology of why they come out flat early in a back-to-back, and then they'll come out and people will say, oh, wow, look at yesterday. They suck in the first quarter. And then people will be so baffled as to why it was the polar opposite the next day.
Yeah, that was a damn good point, Shari. It's a damn good point. It's just a nice way to – that's just how we look at basketball games, guys. And you look at it just psychologically, it makes sense as well. You're going up against an opponent. You know that you have a game tomorrow. It's like it gets in some of these teams' head. They know that they're playing a bottom feeder. And I kind of feel like they may be turned up to go to Toronto as well. Like Giannis kind of knows when they got their ass kicked the past couple of years by a certain team. He kind of knows. It's like, okay, the Raptors own us. This team, I believe they got put out the playoffs as well before by the Raptors. So this teams have some history, lost 2 straight games last year. Gary Trent Jr. is questionable, guys. I mean, a little bit of inside info, I guess. They did send 2 players in Banton and Bunga. They sent those down to the G League. So that kind of tells me that Gary Trent Jr. is coming back today. He hadn't played, I think, the last 2 games. So me just following the beat writers, what they're saying are with send those 2 guys down to the G League, Raptors already thin. They really think that Gary Trent Jr. is coming back today. So it is a huge injury for the Raptors, but this team struggles to score. That's something I saw even versus the Grizzlies with no Ja Morant. This team struggles to score. They did miss Gary Trent Jr. in that game, but it'll be even harder versus this Bucks team if they come in here and turn up. I'll be honest with you, I won't bet this game right now because it's a back-to-back for the Bucks, and that's why we do the late show. That way we can get as much betting insight. If we get full lineup here with the Bucks, I can't tell you. I think they'll come out here and smash these boys, especially from the get-go. I mean, it may not even translate to a full game cover, but definitely like the Bucks early here. Like my guy Shark said, if they started out bad in yesterday's game, caught wind, they did have to come back and win that game. The Hornets was on their ass too. Now they should bring that momentum into the first quarter, first half of this game. So we'll wait for the full lineups here. We can't be mad if the Bucks decide to rest someone, but it happens all the time. But heavy lean Bucks first quarter, first half. Damn! Oh my, Shark just broke it down so lovely, man. Let's go to the streets of Memphis here. Let's see some barbecue here, Shark. We got the Thunder versus the Grizzlies. Grizzlies laying 9.5 without Ja Morant.
You know, we've seen 2 games now from this group, and it seems abundantly clear. First of all, they're well coached. I would shout my man from UPenn, Ivy League. What up? It speaks to a good cerebral mind and a psychological mind, an advanced mind. And you see what he does with the group. And also look at this group. They're pros. Jaren Jackson at MSU. Tom Izzo is a pros coach. My man Dylan Brooks, absolute Greyhound dog coming in here out of Oregon. And just a lot of these guys are just straight up young professionals. And they seem to have rallied very well without Ja Morant. And I'm not sure that's going to stop. I think this is going to be a trend we see. We saw this with Boston when Kyrie Irving went out. The group rallied and was a very efficient ATS team. And I think based on what we were just talking about with the Bucks game, a significant dynamic we're seeing here with the Thunder. I looked at the game last night. Of course, they melted it off in the fourth quarter. And I thought, what happened? Just a shooting outlier. Then I went into the psychology of it, and I was like, you know what? They had
my guy Buffer. I know what he's about to say though. He's saying that the Thunder start to look ahead to this game. They start to look ahead to this game. How the fuck do you give up 41 points to the Rockets, man? Kevin Porter Jr. left the game. Christian Wood left the game. How the fuck do you let them come back? I'm sorry. Y'all follow me on Twitter. I'll send a couple live bets out. I live bet the Thunder. I know my guy Sharp was on it pregame. Everything was looking well, and then they pissed that shit away to the Rockets, man. But like you say, Shark, you think they were looking ahead to this game?
100%. They had a 10-point plus lead going into the fourth quarter. They were coasting. They had crushed them at home. Houston had shown no sign of life in 7 prior quarters in Oklahoma City. Houston scored 41 points. I think Oklahoma City completely let down their guard. Looking ahead to today. But again, this is the opposite of what Milwaukee did, right? Milwaukee came out flat yesterday to reserve energy. Oklahoma City came out well yesterday and then tried to reserve energy down the stretch. So I think that could reverse tonight, where they say, we melted it off last night. We don't want to do that tonight. We want to be competitive. So they come out flat tonight. And again, it's not always because they just come out with a lack of professionalism. They intentionally have to reserve energy. Again, it's a big run on a back-to-back night with travel. I could see, and again, we're going to make this potentially official at 6 o'clock, the Grizzlies coming out here with a big first quarter, first half effort, sustaining this win without Ja Morant, very motivated and a good flow, again, well coached. But I do think it's more so on the Thunder. Good first half melt last night. Should be more so tank first half and then bring big energy to backdoor this and really try to push down the stretch tonight.
Yeah, I could see it, Shark. I couldn't talk you out of that. I'd like to say I lean the Thunder. It's hard to bet them after last night. I know that the Grizzlies have won 2 straight games. You look at it, the Thunder have lost 7 straight. Like, how do you piss away that game and you're on a 6-game losing streak? It's absolute. I just don't understand it. But the Grizzlies do have a couple more games, so they come back to the house for this game. Then they got a couple games on the road versus the Mavs and the Heat, and then the Mavs again at the house. So it's a tough schedule coming up. I don't think this is sustainable versus the Grizzlies, even though they are a well-coached team. We saw them, even with Ja Morant, go through some growing pains or whatever. Like, this team is just obviously when they traded Valanciunas, I'll keep saying it. That was the main thing for me where I really don't understand why Grizzlies did that, but they have caught a win, right? But obviously you could argue that the two teams they playing were kind of lackluster as well. So they did just beat the Kings. They're playing another one tonight, so don't let me go too far off because they're playing another one in the Thunder. But still, the Kings, and then they smacked up the Raptors, who couldn't score. I just don't think that the Grizzlies should be laying 9.5 in this spot with no Ja Morant. I know it's the Thunder. I know they're on the back-to-back, but this is too many points to be laying without your best offensive player. I know Desmond Bane, guys. I know about him. I know his cousin, guys. I know about him. Might even want to look at his props, Bane, Jaren Jackson Jr., but I still think that this is too many points from the lay. Thunder plus a 9.5 is the only way that I can look in this game, Shark. Let's go to the next one, my guys. We're going to the streets of Phoenix here. I got a problem. I like the Dogs today, man. This is the ugly duckling. I can tell you that for sure. The Pistons have lost 8 straight games. Don't look now, though. They've covered 4 out of the past 5 or 4 out of the past 6 games. You have the Suns here. This is kind of what your boy called Guns Picks, a Ruben special. This is a sandwich game, bro. He just played the Warriors at the house. There was a 17-game win streak. Now you win this game. That'll be the 18-game winning streak. Then there'll be, I believe that's the record, right? Suns' all-time record was 17 games, if I'm not mistaken. Now this would be the 18-game win streak. But they're laying 12.5 points. You wait, you might be get 13. Devin Booker is going to be out for the next couple of games, so he'll even miss tomorrow. That's a sandwich spot, Shark. I could only look towards the Pistons in this one. It's an ugly game, but this could be like a Super Bowl type of game for the Pistons here. I think they come to play.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree. I mean, we've been talking about this over and over and over. The Pistons are very sharp on these lines, and they have the propensity to cover them. It's usually close, but they do cover them.
My guy Shark, he's saying that the Pistons, I know what he's saying, that the Suns, my problem here, guys, with the Suns, 2 games without Luka. They don't cover neither one of those games versus the Mavs, right? This could be just a look down to their opponent. I've seen the Suns do this before, come out, not necessarily play their best defense, win it with offense, but which the Suns usually do when they come to play, they'll play with defense. So I was thinking maybe a Pistons team total under, but if the Suns don't come to play, they'll be lacking on their defense and come in here and win it with offense by around 5 or 6 points. It'll be a win-win. They don't cover, you know what I'm saying, but they'll get their win and get the long streak, and then they'll lose tomorrow. Sharp, what were you saying, my guy?
Just purely the idea that without Booker, you never know what kind of game flow is going to happen. We always talk about this, Sirach on ice. It's very real. 2 nights ago, every team that was missing their best player covered. And you just look at even a team like Detroit, who's a bunch of young guys, not theoretically in the same generational window as Jay Crowder, Chris Paul, and Devin Booker, and these championship type of players. They're still in that model of NBA youth and generation that look at the opponent and say, oh, Booker's not in. And then their energy just goes away. And again, take the other side. You get a group of amazing pros. I love my man Bridges, a bunch of these dudes, Cam Johnson out of UNC, just absolute pros on Phoenix. And it's just this new environment within the game. And that makes it so hard to cap. It's not so much about the number. It's not so much about recent history. It's not because Pistons just got blown out against the Blazers. It's not necessarily because the Suns just beat the Dubs and are on a heater. But it's just you take the best player off the floor, the competitive environment completely shifts, and you're capping such a different game. It just makes it tough for me. I won't have an official plan this. I wouldn't talk anybody off of taking the dog here, but I do think there's just that abstract element involved without the best player.
Exactly. You know what? I don't see the Pistons this being, if anything, I feel like the Sirocco Nice is when you're the better team looking at the other team like, oh, okay, they're without their best player, it's going to be easy. When you're the Pistons and you're on a 7-game losing streak and you just got smacked up by 18, this is the last game in the road trip. They've lost every single game on the road trip. You don't want to go on a road trip and lose every single game. This is the Pistons, but I'm just talking psychologically here. Winning for us would be covering the spread, but I think they see no Devin Booker. I could try to smell blood in the water. I don't think that the Pistons like, oh, Devin Booker's out, let's not bring our best game when you're on a 7-game lose streak. I mean, they don't have to do much to keep losing, right? I think they'll want to turn up even more or even realize maybe this is an opportunity that they can catch up with them. Don't look, man, you look at the history between these two teams. Pistons 7-2 against the spread last 9 meetings in Phoenix. Pistons 26-9 against the spread last 35 meetings. Those were a lot different teams, I understand, but it does show the Pistons, for some strange reason, just know how to play against the Suns. So you look at last year, they beat the Suns one time, 7.5-point dog at the house. If you look at it before, so the Suns did go back and get some revenge, 109-92 at the house. Before that, the Pistons had covered 8 straight games versus the Suns. No lie. No matter where it was played at, the Pistons, for some strange reason, they play well versus the Suns. We know that the past couple years, Suns been a much different team. I'm not telling anyone to take the Pistons. I'm letting you know the way that I look at this game is Pistons are nothing for me here. I hadn't made it official yet, but I like the Pistons today, guys. I do. It sounds crazy, but this is a sandwich spot. You just had a huge game on national TV versus the Warriors. You smack them up. Now you're going to play an uninspired opponent without Devin Booker, which they still have guys that can fill in, guys. I'll let you know that. Landry Shamet, he can fill in, but you could be what Sharp. They may save some energy for a big game in Golden State tomorrow, another big game. So I just feel like this is an uninspired opponent. Come in here, win this game by 5 or 6 points. You get that record, 18 straight wins, and then you're probably going to get smacked up by the Warriors tomorrow. But I'm sure they're thinking they want to go and win versus the Warriors again tomorrow. I would not lay the points with the Suns today. That's just me, though, guys. I lean Pistons here. I'm talking heavy lean. I'll probably end up betting the Pistons plus 12.5. It's just me, but Shark. Let's get to the last one here. Oh, I got it. We got to get out of here. Spurs versus Blazers here, Shark. What we like?
This is a toss. You and I discussed this last night. This line is razor sharp. Last year in the first game, you saw LaMarcus Aldridge revenge game coming in with the Spurs, and they blew out the Blazers on the road at Spurs minus 1.5, actually. Then it came back 1.5 at San Antonio. Again, you went on the road at 1.5. It should come up to 4.5, 5. It's stuck. And what do you know? Of course, the line mattered. Portland won a game 108-107. Then it jumped big to Portland at -6. Portland blew them out. Now you get a double revenge game for the Spurs, and its line is shortening up off of 6. 6 home should jump to 7.5, 8. It's coming down to 3.5. It's
guys, Shark there just what you call it, man. I don't care. I like them Pistons, man. Shark. Now, what you were saying? You tell them about the line, how it's coming down. It is back up to 5 now.
It came down to 3.5. It's a short figure, and I'm afraid it's just razor sharp. When you look at 1.5 Spurs on the road last year, and then 6 Portland in a blowout, and the line mattered both times.
Yeah, no, I hear you, Shark. You saying the line matter? We hear you. You didn't buffer.
I apologize. This internet will be fixed this afternoon. But I think this line is a middling between those two lines, which would suggest a razor sharp average. And my problem with taking the Spurs here is just they're coming off of 2 very impressive home wins against Boston and Washington. It's kind of like we said last night with Dallas and New Orleans. There was just great counterpoints to either side. I could see the Spurs tanking this purely because they've been so hot at home. But I do think a corollary game early season at Denver off of a home win. They went in there and they traveled well. They covered the game by 1.5 points. I can see it being that type of environment. But again, we always talk about this. We don't want to gamble, even though this is considered gambling. We want to find blowout spots. This is not a blowout game either way. This is going to be tight on a 3.5, 4, 5. I think the Spurs double revenge shortening up line would be a lean. But again, off 2 big home wins, maybe pump the brakes a little bit.
Yeah, I like the Spurs here. I know the line has came up. I know that the Blazers are 10-1 at the house, 8-2-1 against the spread, but the Spurs do have some defense that they can come in here and play. Obviously, they only have 3 guards on the team: Anthony Simons, CJ McCollum, and then Dennis Smith Jr. off the bench. You look at the Spurs; that's kind of what they excel at, having beaten you with guard lineups. I think that the Spurs actually can match up really well with the Blazers here. I think they have the coaching advantage as well. Kind of called heat. Now, Shark makes a really good point. Those 2 games that they just played up against better teams. We're at the house. They're going on the road here. But I still think without Dame, without Little in this game, that this will really show. And Norman Powell is questioned as well. That's the tipping point for me. If Powell is out this game, I'm definitely taking the Spurs, even putting some on the money line. That's a huge injury in this type of game. If they have Powell in, I still lean Spurs. But without him, the Spurs definitely win this game, my guys. So I got to get out of here. I do have another show.
Just one final point, 20 seconds. We always talk about take the name off the jersey. When you see a team that's 10-1 at home, only laying 3.5 points to a team that is 2-7 away and 6-13 overall, again, forget Spurs Blazers. Just numerically, that is short, and
it's super short, my guys. It's super short. I know what my guy's saying that the line's short. It has come up to 5. I think that's a lot of public money, though. Seeing the Blazers at the house, seeing the Spurs out. There's some of the people that probably don't even know that Dame's out. So it did come up to 5, but regardless, the number opened up short. You see what I'm saying? Sorry, man. The other show, they calling me, man. I got to, unfortunately, guys, I have to get out of here. I have another show that I have to do, but we will be back on here 6 o'clock Eastern, 5 o'clock Central, my guys. Shark. My guy Shark is on, you're on Knicks first quarter, right?
Yeah, official play Knicks first quarter, all the aforementioned points. Knicks should travel coming home here off a loss, similarly to how they did in a national game against the Lakers, 36-20 first quarter. Great line split as well. Pick that is short for the Bulls for a reason. 1 unit, Madison Square Garden, home locker room, pick first quarter. Let's go. J Money, close them out.
I love it, my guy. Nick, I like the Knicks as well. I ride with my guy on that first quarter. Heavy lean Knicks full game for me right now. If we get everybody with the Bucks, I'll be taking Bucks first quarter, first half. I lean the Thunder plus the points, full game there. I like the Pistons as well, guys. It's a sandwich spot for the Suns, possible look ahead spot, all this stuff. They will likely win this game, but I just don't think they'll win it by 10 or more. I see a 5 or 6 point win by the Suns here. Heavy lean to the Spurs as well. We're doing another show at 6 o'clock Eastern, guys. 6 o'clock Eastern, 5 o'clock Central. We will be live right here on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel, hit the notifications bell so you never miss a show. We out, my guys.